Hi folks, it's John Nizman from lastchanceautorestore.com. Just a quick little update. We're under the 1974 Chevrolet Corvette, the silver one that we've been working on. So in the previous video, we set the engine and transmission. You saw from the top side of the engine bay what it looked like. And now I'd just like to share with you underneath before we get too far into this build. So with the totally rebuilt engine now installed, with the transmission, we talked about the headers just briefly in the other video. So now you can see this is a body on restoration, so you can still see the frame and so on has some dirt and grime and that sort of thing. So with the engine in place, you can see the detail of the motor. It's the Chevy Correct orange, and then we've got the inspection covers been degreased, cleaned, and repainted black. The transmission has been freshened up and so on, and then we're just ready to do the lines. So basically just wanted to look from the underside with the engine in place, and I think the camera can probably pick up. You can see small little details like the hardware that fastens the oil pan to the motor. Because we painted all the panels separately, you can see we've got the gaskets and the hardware and so on, where nothing is all just one color sprayed after reassembly. So this way we ensure that all the gaskets are sealed properly. These headers, they're high polished ceramic coated header made specifically for this application. So they're always a little bit challenging to get them to fit in. And as I mentioned earlier, when the engine and transmission is coming into the bay, just before it's set in place onto the new motor mounts, these headers are assembled from underneath. So you kind of have to jog and fit. It takes two guys and a lot of patience to get them into place. But you'll see once they are in place, you've got room from the suspension, and it's set exactly to be around out of the way of the starter, which is really important. And if we come to this side, it's not quite as busy looking, so the camera can come around to the driver's side, and then you can see a little more of an open space here. And you can see the headers, and then once again the detail of the engine block and heads and all of the hardware and so on. And then we have our new oil filter on there with our break-in oil, and then you can see the steering. We've gone through and replaced a couple of the lines and for the steering rack part. So basically just wanted to show you what it looks like from underneath. So with the engine, the headers, and then with this cross member, we've degreased, cleaned, and painted it. We've reinstalled it. We have the new rear transmission mount. And then probably if the camera comes around to the back, you'll be able to see the next thing that we're going to be working on. So one of the things that we just did was we wanted to make sure we're hooking things up, that we hooked up the parking brake cables. So we have the parking brake with the pivot point and our cables and our cross pieces that are all kind of dry fitted and set, and then we'll readjust that once we continue. Now the reason why I suggested to be on that end is our next chore, after the radiator is in and everything is hooked up in the engine bay, we'll be building a custom exhaust for this vehicle. So we have the headers here, and then we have the factory holes here for the pipes to come through. So we'll be making the custom exhaust system from these headers, and we'll be going straight back, and then we'll curl them up over towards the back. And then what we've done, I'm bouncing all over, then we have brand new Flowmaster mufflers that are really going to help, and that these mufflers are made specifically for our application. So these are the mufflers that we're going to be using. So they're made by Flowmaster, and they've got the built-in baffles inside, and it's the size we're going to want, and it's the sound that we're going to be after. So this is all part of our plan of the master build in terms of the engine. So essentially we've got a 74 Corvette with roughly twice the horsepower, and then we're going to, with our exhaust bender that we have, we're going to bend our own exhaust. And then these really nice Flowmaster mufflers are going to help with the sound and the flow, and then everything will work together. It'll make it a nice, happy engine. So just a quick little update. 74 Corvette. Thanks for watching. I'm John from lastchanceautorestore.com.